Let me take you back to a time when India was one of the richest places on earth. By the end of the 16th century, India had almost 150 million people. That was nearly 1/5 of the world's population. Under the Mughal Emperor Akbar the Great, the country was peaceful, strong, and very advanced. Indian cloth, spices, precious stones, and many other products were going to every part of the world. Indian cloth was so good that it even shut down the textile industry of Mexico, which was then a Spanish colony across the ocean. Europe loved Indian goods. Every year, Europe spent around 18,000 kilograms of silver to buy things from India, and because of this trade, the Mughal treasury earned wealth equal to over £10 billion in today's value. The Mughal rulers were counted among the richest in the world. But far away, about 6,000 kilometers from India, there was a small, poor, and weak country. Its population was only 5% of India's population, and its share in the world economy was less than 3%. Still, this country wanted to trade with India. And maybe even control it one day. That country was England. And England did something unexpected. It did not send an army first, it sent traders. Now the question is, how did these English traders enter the subcontinent and later turn it into a colony? This is how the story begins. At that time, from 1500 to 1599, the situation in Europe was changing fast. European powers were racing to make colonies and control world trade. Spain and Portugal were leading. They had built big empires in South America, and had destroyed Native American populations who had no modern weapons. Gold and diamonds were being shipped to Europe in huge amounts. The Netherlands and France were also earning a lot through sea trade. Only Britain was left behind. One reason was religion. Britain had become Protestant, while the rest of Europe was Catholic. The Catholic Church boycotted Britain. Many countries in Europe also stopped trading with Britain because of this. Spain fought battles with Britain, and both sides looted each other's trade ships. Because of all this, Britain was almost cut off. It could only trade with the Ottoman Empire. British traders bought Indian goods and Indonesian spices from ports in Syria, but they had to buy everything through middlemen. These middlemen earned 4 times the profit. The English traders earned very little. On the other hand, Dutch companies traded directly with India and Indonesia without any middlemen, and they earned much more. Britain was simply not getting anywhere. Even in America, the British colony of Virginia was still very new and not earning any real profit. So the businessmen of London came up with a plan. They said, "Let's set up our own company and trade directly with Asian countries, including India. This way we can avoid middlemen, save money, and maybe even get a chance to build colonies." In that time, trade and colonization went together. Wherever European traders went, they built forts, brought soldiers, and slowly took control. The Portuguese had already done this in Goa and even tried to take Calicut. So on September 24, 1599, many traders, ship owners, soldiers, and wealthy people gathered in Founders Hall in London. The meeting was led by Sir Thomas Smith, a powerful man in the spice trade. They decided to write to Queen Elizabeth I, asking for permission to create a trading company. Everyone put in money according to their status, and together they collected £30,133, which is a little over £3 million today. They named the company the East India Company. They wrote to the Queen, explaining that this company would increase England's trade and prestige. At first, the company wanted to trade more with Indonesia than India, because in Europe the whole of Asia was called the Indies, and Indonesia was known as the East Indies. It was the biggest source of spices, and Dutch companies were already trading there. 1 year later, on December 31, 1600, Queen Elizabeth agreed. She issued a royal charter, and the East India Company officially came into existence. The company was given big advantages: no customs duty for the first 6 shipments, and a 10-year monopoly on trade with Indonesia. The most shocking part was this. The charter allowed the company to set up its own government and raise its own army wherever it traded. This meant the company was allowed to colonize from the very first day. The company's first ship was a former pirate ship called the Red Dragon. Along with 3 smaller ships, the Hector, Susan, and Guest, it left England in 1601 to sail toward Indonesia, but even before reaching the open sea, the ships got stuck because there was no wind. They waited almost 2 months near Dover. Finally, the wind came, and the fleet sailed ahead. After 2.5 years, the ships returned to England with 900 tons of spices. The company earned a 300% profit. This one trip gave the company enough confidence and money to stand on its own feet. But success brought new problems. The Dutch saw England as a threat, and in 1602 they created the Dutch East India Company. Both companies fought for control of Indonesia for many years. In the end, the Dutch won. The English had to look elsewhere. And so the company turned its eyes toward India, a land far richer than Indonesia. But India was not easy. The Mughal Empire had almost 4 million soldiers under different kings. The English knew they could not win by force, so they acted humble and asked for permission to trade. In 1608, the company's ship Hector reached Surat. Captain William Hawkins came to Agra and met Emperor Jahangir. But Jahangir saw him as an ordinary sailor and did not take him seriously. Hawkins stayed in India for some time, married an Armenian Christian woman, and studied Mughal society. He understood one thing very clearly: the method used against Native Americans would never work here. India could not be captured through killings. He returned to England. Later, another English ship reached Surat, but Portuguese traders had strong influence in the Mughal court. They pushed the English out. The company then turned to the English king for help. So King James I sent Sir Thomas Roe as an ambassador to Jahangir's court in 1615. Roe took expensive gifts, hunting dogs, a coach, beautiful paintings, hoping to impress the emperor. But he made one mistake: he did not bring diamonds or pearls. Jahangir loved jewels. Nobles always gifted him precious stones. So Jahangir accepted Roe's gifts politely, but gave far more respect to the Portuguese ambassador who had brought diamonds. For 3 years, Thomas Roe tried to get a trade agreement. Jahangir liked talking about English wine more than trade. He admired some paintings and even sent a copy of the English coach to Queen Nur Jahan, but he avoided making a decision. Roe stayed patient. He saw the endless diamonds and gold in the Mughal court. He dreamed of taking this wealth to England. Finally, after 3 years, Jahangir agreed to give the English permission to set up a trading center, factory, in Surat. No special tax benefits, no monopoly, just permission. Still, this was a major step. The English now had a foothold. The company then opened factories in Golconda, in the south, in Masulipatam, and in Patna, in Bengal. They started buying saltpeter for gunpowder, and they traded textiles, chilies, and diamonds. The business grew fast. By the 1630s, they were importing £1 million worth of chilies each year. In the next 30 years, they imported 250,000 cloth pieces annually. Investors rushed to buy company shares. The company grew richer and richer. They built their headquarters in London, the East India House, and slowly began to fortify their factories in India with walls and cannons. No one in India saw this as a threat. At the same time, the Portuguese were still strong in India. But in 1632, they made a big mistake. They angered the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan. They had built a fort near the Hooghly River in Bengal. They were mistreating locals, taking slaves, and forcing conversions. Shah Jahan sent a huge army of around 150,000 soldiers. After 3 months, the Mughals captured the fort, freed thousands of Indians, and destroyed Portuguese power in Bengal. After this, the Portuguese never challenged the Mughals again. This opened the door even wider for the British. In 1634, the British got permission from a South Indian kingdom, Vijayanagar, to build a fort near a small fishing village called Madras. The fort was named Fort St. George, and the area around it came to be known as Madras, today's Chennai. Madras became the first major British colony in India. 27 years later, they got Bombay as well. In 1661, King Charles II married a Portuguese princess, Catherine. The Portuguese gave Bombay as part of her dowry. At first, the English did not even know where Bombay was. Some officials thought it might be near Brazil. But once they found it, they handed it to the East India Company. The company built Fort George there, and Bombay quickly became an important naval base. By the middle of the 17th century, the East India Company was no longer just a trading group. It controlled growing cities, collected wealth, built forts, kept soldiers, and even minted its own coins. But then, the company made a huge mistake. During the rule of Emperor Aurangzeb Alamgir, it tried to fight the Mughal Empire directly, a decision that could have destroyed the company forever. Why did they take this risk? How did Aurangzeb respond, especially while he was already fighting the Marathas? What role did the French play in this struggle? And who unexpectedly saved the British in India? All of this will appear in the next part of this story.